There's this moment that arrives without warning, slipping into your awareness like morning light through curtains you forgot to close. You might be standing in your kitchen making coffee, or sitting in traffic on a Tuesday when suddenly everything feels different. Not dramatically different, not obviously different, but different in a way that makes you pause and wonder if something fundamental has shifted while you weren't paying attention. You've probably been feeling it for weeks now. This strange restlessness that has nothing to do with your circumstances and everything to do with something stirring beneath the surface of your everyday life. Maybe you've caught yourself staring out windows more often, or finding excuses to be alone with your thoughts. Maybe conversations that used to energize you now feel hollow, or goals that once drove you forward now seem oddly irrelevant. Here's what nobody tells you about the moments before your life transforms completely. They don't arrive with fanfare or clear instructions. They show up disguised as boredom, as dissatisfaction, as this inexplicable sense that you're somehow too big for the space you're occupying. Most people mistake these feelings for problems that need solving, when really they're signals that something extraordinary is preparing to unfold. Right now, as you're listening to these words, your internal compass is recalibrating itself. Your energy is pulling away from patterns that once felt necessary because they're no longer serving the person you're becoming. That friend who always has drama doesn't trigger the same emotional investment anymore. That project you used to obsess over feels manageable, almost trivial. The things that used to keep you awake at night now seem like distant concerns from someone else's life. This isn't numbness creeping in. This isn't you becoming disconnected or indifferent. What you're experiencing is your nervous system preparing itself for a completely different frequency of existence. Think of it like your phone automatically switching to power-saving mode when the battery gets low. Except instead of conserving energy, your consciousness is conserving emotional bandwidth for something that requires every ounce of clarity you can muster. Your sleep patterns might be shifting too. Not necessarily sleeping more or less, but sleeping differently. The racing thoughts that used to cycle through your mind until 3 in the morning have quieted down to a whisper. Problems that felt urgent last month now feel like background noise you can simply turn off. This isn't because your challenges disappeared overnight. It's because your brain has stopped treating every minor inconvenience like a life-threatening emergency. The relationships in your life are starting to feel different as well. Some people seem to be speaking a language you've outgrown, while others are suddenly showing up with exactly the energy you need. Conversations are becoming shorter not because you're being rude, but because you've lost the ability to pretend that surface-level interactions feel meaningful. When someone asks how you're doing, you either give them a real answer or you give them nothing at all. The middle ground of polite fiction has become impossible to navigate. You might be wondering if something's wrong with you, if you're losing your social skills or becoming too selective. But what's actually happening is that your authenticity filter has become so refined that anything fake or performative feels physically uncomfortable to engage with. Your tolerance for anything that doesn't align with where you're heading has dropped significantly, and that's not a problem to fix. That's preparation for what's coming next. Your heading has dropped significantly, and that's preparation.d. That's not a problem to fix for what next is coming. Your decision-making process has fundamentally shifted without you consciously choosing to change it. Choices that used to require endless deliberation now feel obvious, not because they're easier, but because you're finally operating from a place of internal knowing rather than external pressure. You're saying no without lengthy explanations because you've stopped feeling obligated to justify decisions that serve your highest good. You're walking away from opportunities that would have excited you 6 months ago because something deeper is telling you they're not aligned with where you're actually going. This shift is creating distance between you and people who've known you for years. They might comment that you seem different, distant, or that you've changed in ways they can't quite articulate. They're not wrong. You have changed. But change isn't betrayal, even though it can feel that way to people who were comfortable with the version of you that no longer exists. Some will adapt and grow alongside you. Others will resist your evolution because it forces them to confront their own stagnation. Your phone habits have transformed without any conscious effort on your part. You used to scroll for hours, absorbing other people's highlights and disasters like they were your own personal entertainment. Now you find yourself putting the device down after minutes because other people's curated lives feel like interference rather than inspiration. It's not that you care less about people. It's that you've stopped using their experiences as a way to avoid engaging with your own transformation. Time itself feels different now. Days that used to drag with monotony now feel dense with possibility. You're not rushing toward some imaginary finish line anymore because you've realized that this moment right now isn't preparation for your real life. This is your real life unfolding in real time. That recognition changes everything about how you experience each hour, each conversation, each seemingly ordinary Tuesday afternoon. The strangest part of this entire process is how your problems are starting to solve themselves. Not through magic or wishful thinking, but through the accumulated effect of making slightly different choices consistently over time. The debt that seemed overwhelming starts shrinking because you've stopped buying things you don't actually need. The relationship conflicts start dissolving because you've stopped tolerating behavior that drains your energy. Your mind has essentially upgraded its operating system, and now it's running programs more efficiently than ever before. You're beginning to trust your instincts in ways that surprise even you. That gut feeling about the job interview, the investment opportunity, the person who seemed charming but felt somehow off. You're listening to these inner signals not because you've become psychic, but because you've learned to distinguish between intuition and anxiety. Fear creates noise, wisdom whispers. And for the first time in your adult life, you're quiet enough to hear the difference. This internal stillness is preparing you for something that requires your complete presence. Where you're going, scattered energy won't be enough. Divided attention won't work. Half-hearted commitment won't survive what's coming. The universe is essentially clearing your energetic schedule, removing distractions and obligations that would interfere with your ability to show up fully for the next chapter of your existence. up fully for the next chapter of your existence. Sadhusam. So if you're here, if these words landed differently than they would have even a few weeks ago, then you already know what I know. You're not waiting for your life to change anymore. You're in the middle of it changing. The restlessness you've been feeling, the way old patterns suddenly feel suffocating. The quiet knowing that's been growing stronger each day. All of it is confirmation that you're already in motion towards something you can't yet see but can absolutely feel approaching. This isn't about becoming someone new. This is about finally becoming who you've always been underneath everything you learned to be. The calm settling into your nervous system, the way meaningless conversations now feel impossible to endure. The opportunities that are starting to align with uncanny timing. None of this is coincidence. This is what happens when your energy shifts to match what's trying to emerge through you. The person you're becoming doesn't need to be convinced or motivated or pushed into action. That person moves from clarity instead of confusion, from choice instead of reaction, from alignment instead of resistance. And once you start operating from that place, everything else begins to rearrange itself around your new frequency. Your transformation isn't something that's going to happen to you. It's something that's happening through you right now, in this exact moment, whether you're ready or not. The life you've been unconsciously preparing for your entire existence is here. Trust what you're feeling. Trust what you know. Trust that you're exactly where you're supposed to be.